only shot he got in on Ennis tonight. As Ennis just came in and laid down the law in front of his hometown fans, and boy did they respond. This is about the loudest I think I've heard of an arena. Sergio.
When he fought Albanese, it was an incredible crowd, but this tops it. I mean, I said it a few weeks ago. It's a great environment. Philadelphia is a fight town. I love the fact that Natural and Eddie Hurt keeps bringing him back, and that's why he's shining.
Let's check in with Chris Mannix with Boots.
Well, Boots, congratulations. There are wins and there are statements, and you just made a pretty big statement in your very first fight in 154-pound division. What did you think of that performance?
I did what I had to do. I did what I came to do. I'm here at 154, made a statement. Let's bring them names.
That was a very tough guy you had in front of you. Only one loss on his resume, had never been knocked out. Career-long guy at 154 and above. Did you surprise yourself with how strong you were in the ring?
Nah, I already knew. I feel like the more I go up, the stronger I'm going to get. You know, I was fighting at 47 all my whole professional career, and when I was in Air, so I was fighting at 41, so I was that small for a long time. So it was like time to go.
There wasn't a lot of action in this fight, but walk me through that first knockdown, which seemed to set the tone for the rest of the fight. What were you looking for, and what did you land in that sequence?
Just listen to my team, stay behind the jet, stay calm, stay relaxed. My feet start jumping back a little bit, so I'm like, let me touch this hook to the body and try to come on top with it. And I think that was the first knockdown.
What were you seeing from him out there? How was he trying to engage with you?
I think he was trying to be smart and not fight like how he usually fight, because he didn't want to get caught early, but I still caught him early.
People would say it's only 7 pounds, but going up this weight, how much of a difference did you feel in the ring?
I felt way different. Even fight week, I felt phenomenal. You know how you have your last day of training, and you don't feel like doing nothing? I actually felt like training. I was like rejuvenated, like excited. Yeah.
When he went down that first time, could you sense that he was hurt? Were you going for the finish towards the end?
Yeah, I knew he was hurt. I seen how he fell over, so I knew he was hurt. But yeah.
You've heard a lot over the last few months. Didn't want this fight, didn't want that fight. How much of a message did you want to send in this fight?
I send a big message, and I know what time it is. I know who I want next. Tick, tock, gun, shot. Y'all know who next.
Well, we'll get into that then now. The next guy, there are 4 champions out there, but the biggest fight at junior middleweight is between 2 guys that aren't full title holders yet, and that is you against Virgil Ortiz. We didn't see that fight happen at 147 pounds. Does it need to happen next?
It's going to happen next. I know he got his fight. I know he focused on his fight. And if you don't win, I'll fight Lima. I'll fight the winner of that. But I want Virgil Ortiz next. And if we can't get Virgil Ortiz next, I heard that Baby Cub was calling me out too. Charlo, he can get it next. Fedora, what's his name? Baccarat. The IBF champ, he can get it. Everybody 154 can get it. I'm missing. Xander can get it. Anybody 154, I'm belt chasing. This is my division. 154 is mine. I'm on tour.
We heard a lot from Virgil's team over the last few months now. You didn't want the fight against him. You wanted another fight before. You never.
That's next. They too much talking. That's next. It's in their hands now.
Congratulations, Boots.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Eddie.
Appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate Philly. The tri-state here. Appreciate all y'all. Coming out supporting. We at Roar tonight. Make sure y'all come on out. I want to thank God for this victory. I want to thank my mom, my dad, my team, my brothers, my whole squad, man. I appreciate y'all for coming out and showing love. Big fights next. After party at Roar.
Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to post-fight number 2 for this Saturday, October 11th, 2025. This is the post-fight show for Ennis versus Lima. Just wrapped up on Dazn, where we saw Dazn Ennis put on quite a display with a first round stoppage of Lima. KO 1. Dropped him twice. And on the third go around, instead of dropping him, the ref had to step in and halt the fight as a towel came in simultaneously, where Lima was not able to withstand the barrage of punches after being knocked down, and Ennis took full advantage of being ready. This was, on paper, a mismatch, but there were thoughts and sentiments, even including myself, that this fighter had been a lifer at 154, which could have made a difference. However, there are certain aspects of what transpired that just seemed a lot favorable for Ennis. And I'm not going to go into picking things like that apart at this time, but I will come back and have a conversation about that, because it should be had. Everybody, and he mentioned quite a few names, because that's what people do now. They mention names even though they don't fight the people whose names that they mention, right? We've seen that quite on the regular. Everybody is not going to come to Philadelphia. No. You're going to have to take the show on the road. You're going to have to go to neutral sites. You're going to have to go to unfamiliar territory, and you're going to have to fight fighters who are on your level, and there are plenty. No one knew of this young man, including myself. I had to watch film on him to get an idea of how he fights and everything. However, he brought nothing to the table as of a threat. If anyone wants to fool themselves and think that this was a 50-50 matchup, you have a lot of homework to do. This was a showcase once again, and we've seen, what has it been now? 35 showcases? Because Ennis is now 35-0 with 31 KOs. Now, I'd like to see the possibilities against some of the names that were mentioned, and I would also like to see the possibilities of someone who wants to win. Now, the division that he just left, there were fight proposals on the table that he left. Now remember, the sentiment of wanting to be undisputed before leaving that weight class of welterweight, and the decision to move up, only came months apart. We're now in the fourth quarter of 2025, and it's highly likely that he's not going to face anyone again before the end of the year. So entering 2025, I wonder what the sentiment will be when certain names are overlooked for another showcase. And the funny thing about this is a man that doesn't need to face showcase opponents. He needs to face the creme de la creme because he's talented enough to bring at least that to the table. But not being familiar with neutral or hostile territory and grounds, it plays different when all you've had is your family around you and you get plucked from those arms and put in a situation where now you are uncomfortable. You are unknown, unfamiliar, and people boo and hiss you, regardless of how talented you are, regardless of how highly ranked you may be. Yeah. It's that type of thing that brings us to this point to acknowledge he was head and shoulders, waist, knees and shins, even ankles above Lima. But he is not that against the rest of the division. He's not. So he'll get a chance to celebrate this evening. He'll get a chance to receive accolades for his performance. He'll get a chance to have a highlight reel added to others. But some people you just cannot fool. And we're in a state of existence in our present society where people can be easily influenced. It's one of the reasons why social media is so strong. But there's a downside to that too, because there are people who are affected not only emotionally but psychologically with too much information. Some do not know when to turn it off. Some do not know when to compartmentalize what's worth taking in. All that glitters isn't gold is one of the oldest sayings. Want to take a moment to acknowledge who we got in the building this evening. The chat is a little bit active, so we'll get a chance. Let's see here who we got. CB Sports TV, where you been? Out there first. J Man is in the building. My brother Drew Titan LLC is out there. He says, bro, seriously? We've learned nothing. Absolutely. Mr. Shelton in the building. He says, Boots needs to fight somebody now. Agreed. Steph Brown in the building says, be well, Stormy B Man. Salute chat family who's in this weekend. God be with you. Same to you, Steph Brown. Blessings be upon you, brother. Drew Titan says, Ortiz, Mel Charlo, Spence, Bakram, watch Hearn insert Ben in the mix in the UK. Oh yeah. Culture that is saluting Drew, saying he agrees. Boots didn't prove nothing. Anthony Bolton in the building. Universal Truth. Dritch Richardson says, salute Stormy. Well, that was fast. Yeah. I go to the bathroom pretty fast too, huh? Especially when my bladder's full. DLP in the building says, Penny Loafers stomped out Lima Bean. Nothing went my way on this card. Wanted a little more rounds out of Lima. Yeah. Culture that says Boots is about to get big, about to be a big what if he don't step it up regarding his competition. Well, Culture that, did you hear me read his record? What makes you think there's going to be a drastic change after 35 fights? Think about it. Deacon Dollars in the building. What's good with you? He says, salute Sensei. Black Martial Arts Society is out there saying, Slippers lost me. Boots is 35-0, fought one person, Stanionis. And Stanionis wasn't even at his best when he went in there against him. They had hung Stanionis out to dry. Big time. Agreed. Shamar Rashan Salam is out there laughing. Says 100. Facts, Sensei. Let's see here. Boxing equals success with best pugilist. Says Boots beating everybody he mentioned after that fight. He is without question the most talented young fighter in the sport. His management is handling the list exactly as they should. Do you feel that that's a profound statement? Or are you just looking to be seen and heard? Because the universe is vast, my friend. Get yourself a camera and a microphone. There are plenty of corners in USA, even Philly, where you can go and project that. King Style Productions is in the building saying salute Sensei in chat. DLP, my brother, is out there saying, my bad, salute Stormy. Learn is in the building. He says, man, Stormy, me particularly, I don't like that first round stoppage. No excitement. Salute. Yep. Chilltown Majors is in the building saying, Stormy, what's good? He says, chat, what's up? My brother Junior Truth is in the building saying, salute family. I just woke up to Eddie Hearn talking. Junior, you fell asleep? I tried to call you after the Vianello fight. Man, Vianello, we'll get to that. Listen. All I know is that the saying I reiterated a moment ago, all that glitters isn't gold, is very factual. I would rather see Boots give up about 14 of those fights on his present record and trade him into about 3 or 4 solid opponents that he could have faced up to this point that he did not. And that doesn't mean you have to face everyone, but you do have to face the right ones. Mike Tyson looked great knocking out third-rate fighters and fighters who were former drug addicts and fighters who were out of shape and kind of dominated the division because of apathy and lack of motivation, until others joined the fray. And that's when Don King tightened the reins on the options for access to Mike. Evander Holyfield was his number one contender in all 3 at the time sanctioning bodies for 3 years. 3! Where do they do that at? There were other fighters like Alex Stewart, Michael Moorer, Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison, Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. Tim Witherspoon even had a point where he had made a comeback. Oliver McCall, Frank Bruno, James Buster Douglas. Now, out of those names that I named, how many times did Mike Tyson fight any of them? He fought Holyfield 1.5 times. The second time, the half, didn't get beyond 3 rounds before he DQ'd himself by biting the man twice, intentionally disqualifying himself. He tried to disqualify himself leading up to the Lennox Lewis fight by biting him at the press conference, taking a chunk out of his thigh. And when that didn't go down and they still allowed the fight to take place, he decided to go and get a tattoo on his face the week of the fight. And there was controversy regarding that because they were saying, oh, he got a tattoo on his face. His face could be tender and susceptible to cuts or something like that, having a full face tattoo. This is real, people. See, when you've been around and you've seen some things, you know kind of the landscape of what you survey. I made a mistake a few years ago talking about Ennis having Roy Jones-like talent, because people took that and ran with it. I get absolutely no credit for saying it, but no one has said it before I did. And that was an assessment based on talent potential that I had witnessed, but hadn't seen enough of him to also categorize personality, character, and what should lie under the surface as far as the intangibles and fortitude, some of which still hasn't been on display yet because he hasn't faced the proper challenges to bring that to the forefront. The one thing that we could equate with Roy's talent was his fervor for facing challenges. If someone was supposedly one of the best, Roy wanted the opportunity. And even with all that were available at the time during his perpetual youth, he still didn't face them all, because there were a few that he stayed away from. Frankie Lyles, Michael Nunn. Yeah. But still, he faced enough people to still have a mound to stand upon. So when you have an eye for assessment, you have to see through the surface. You have to see through the skin, the fat beneath the surface of the skin. See the nerves, the nerve endings, the synapses of how things are firing. Because you have no idea what bubbles beneath the surface. It is very convenient for Boots, in a town where everyone knows him, to go out there and have the love and support of that base to give you confidence and encouragement. They cheer for you. When has that man walked into hostile territory When has that man faced the Boo Birds? You say really never. In 34 fights, now 35. The irony. Because there are plenty out there waiting. And when he faces Virgil Ortiz, if that does come off, because there's a huge possibility that it never happens. Mayate is what you will hear. Huh? This is real. This is real. When the sports writers stop writing puff pieces on you, when they make horrible caricatures of you that look like racist caricatures that they drew of the Sambos and the porch monkeys from the 30s and the 40s, with you sitting in a throne wearing your belts around your waist. Will the people that love and support you out of Philly come and stand up for you then? Will they cry and demand that Ring magazine take that down? Food for thought. All that glitters is not gold. I feel bad for Lima because I know he didn't want to go out like that. And it's obvious that the man trained. He was in pristine shape. He was in the type of shape that many of those others that Boots has faced already could never dream of being in. But I wonder how different it could have been if Boots had gone to Portugal and faced him over there, where they could have filled an arena over there. And he could come out full confident and Boots be in hostile territory. Could he still show the resolve and focus to do the job like he did on this night? Some of the best in the world have done it on other lands, other continents, multiple times. That's what makes you a world champion. You have to know what you're looking at. You cannot deny yourself facts. There's nothing wrong with having glitter, sparkle, style. But never forget the substance. Never forget the substance. Because without the substance, that entire embodiment of the entity caves right in. Yeah. There'll be plenty of comments on tonight's performance. But there'll be few that speak with such leverage of what I'm talking about at this very moment. And as I've stated, to celebrate, yeah, you had another victory. But against who? And let's not forget, this is Hearn's work of art. He is the dash and grab king of bullshit bouts presently in boxing. Yeah. That's who he is. Call me when Boots signs up to face a fighter on a Riyadh season event. Because I guarantee you, it won't be an unknown like Uisa Lima. Virgil Ortiz Jr. fights for a Golden Boy. He has yet to win a world title. I do believe a world title is more of a priority for Oscar, Ortiz Jr., Golden Boy Promotions than Boots Ennis for no title. In the meantime, Boots can try to get Hearn to push him in the direction for that interim belt with the real actual titleist, Abbas Baru, who, like Lima, has less than 20 bouts on his record, but a different temperament altogether. A black Russian. A black Russian. Just showed Yoenis Telly what it's all about. See, sometimes, like Drew Titan has been known to say, all you got to do is let them talk. Let them do their thing. Just watch. Do I not always tell you, watch boxing? Just watch. You're talking about celebrating this man tonight that asked Turkey for 2 tune-ups. 2! That's an interesting number, right? A pair of tune-ups. Turkey hasn't given 2 tune-ups to any fighter that has participated in Riyadh season since he began to have those promotional events. What are we doing here? I'll leave it up to you to figure it out. I don't have to figure it out. I've been watching the whole time, just like the Watcher in Marvel Comics. Yeah, me. I've been watching the whole time. So, salute to Dazn Ennis on his victory this evening. However, the challenges are on the table as well, and we'll see if you're willing to step up, because it ain't over. The journey has just begun. Yeah. On the undercard, the co-main event were a pair of heavyweights. Where we had an opportunity to see Alexis Barriere taking on Guido Vianello. Now, Barriere from Canada is a heavyweight that they had said had been a chief sparring partner and proponent for Tyson Fury. Brought Sugar Hill Stewart in with his camp as his trainer. I don't know if Sugar Hill has worked with him his entire time, but he entered the fight with a record of 12-0 with 10 KOs. He's 30 years of age and a southpaw out of Quebec City. I hadn't seen him or heard from him prior to now. Didn't even bother to look him up. But Guido, I'm quite familiar with. You see, Guido out of Italy is a genuine Italian, nicknamed the Gladiator. 31 years of age, 6'6", 79-inch reach. He's out of Lazio, Roma, Italy. He entered the fight 13-3 with 1 draw, 11 KOs, was stopped once. And the fight that he was stopped in back in 2023, January, where he faced Jonathan Rice, a cut eye from a punch in the 6th round. The cut was so severe they had to stop the fight in the 7th. So he lost by TKO. If the cut had happened before the end of the 4th round, like in the Tim Tszyu fight against Sebastian Fundora, they would have gone to scorecards. At the time of the stoppage, the scorecards were 59-55 on 2 and 58-56 for Vianello. So you see, the cut happened in a bad time and fashion for him. His second loss was in April of 2024 against Efe Ajagba, a fight that was very close on all the scorecards, 94-96 on 2 judges and 96-94 for a split decision win for Ajagba. No knockdowns, but a well-fought fight between the two men. He bounced back after that with a victory over another gentleman that fought today, Arslanbek Makhmudov. He stopped Makhmudov in 8 rounds. Only to follow that up with a fight against Richard Torres Jr. in April of this year. And he was deducted a point during the bout for holding. Torres was some sort of a trouble for him. I don't know if it was just Torres's height or whatever, but Vianello didn't fight very well in that match. But you fast forward to Barriere. Vianello's 6'6", Barriere's 6'4". Barriere's a southpaw. There was a call for some action on tonight's card, and these two men delivered it. Vianello was having difficulty in the first round with Barriere. Barriere was jabbing and throwing certain shots, but you could see he was pawing with his shots. But something triggered Vianello by the second round, where he came out with more purpose. But in the fourth, he landed a hell of a straight right that shook up Barriere and had him hurt. And next thing you know, Barriere was on the canvas. I noticed that neither man were throwing much body work, but they were jabbing, head hunting, and Vianello began to gain confidence after landing his shots. The one thing that was missing from the fight is the fact that neither man were really throwing combinations. You saw Vianello step up his punch output once he got Barriere in trouble, but he was quite lackluster prior to getting his opponent hurt. And then the fact that Guido, who has lost 3 times, that winning nature, that desire for victory kicked in. And boy, did he go after Barriere. And see, that makes a difference. I've talked to some of the brothers behind the scenes about that, about when fighters lose fights and they have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what did they do wrong and how can they correct it to advance and improve and get better, instead of being on the receiving end of decisions that they didn't earn and so forth. Guido was not the A side in this match. And he didn't fight like it either. I like the fact that he took it to him. And that grazing right hand that he dropped him with in the fatal 5th round, I don't think that Barriere had recovered from being hurt in the 4th. And boy, was he in trouble. The bell saved him to make it to the 5th. But this is why I love the sport. It's like you could see so many things play out, man. And you become familiar. And you understand how people respond and react. You begin to find out that there are certain categories that you can check box, right? that people fall into when they're hurt, when they're trying to win, when they have done what we have discussed last night, game quitting. See, there's a list of scenarios that you have to check box and understand when those circumstances present themselves. Salute to Blue Blood Sports TV. I see you out there, Blue Blood. Welcome to the show. Thank you for stopping in, brother. Yeah. And the more familiar you get with that, then you know what you're looking at when you're watching a fight. Just like I spoke earlier about Ennis and Lima. You know what you're looking at. Lima really didn't belong in the ring with Ennis. He was there to make Ennis look good in front of his hometown, and that's exactly what happened. No matter how you could have wished and hoped for something more. Oh, I wish we could have got more rounds. Well, get a better fucking opponent. Vianello fought like a hungry fighter tonight. Is he one of the most talented fighters in the division? Absolutely not. But he has something going for him that you don't see in all of the fighters that fight. And that's a spirit of competitiveness. The guy that defeated David Allen earlier this evening that I talked about, Arslanbek, Guido beat him already. Stopped him. So he's at least better than he, right? I would bet that he would love a second chance against Efe Ajagba as well. Because that fight was too close to just leave it as Ajagba to be in the winner. That was a split decision win. It could have went the other way easily. Dale.Riv, what's happening? Isaiah GQ, salute. There are fights that have their own little stories written for them once the two combatants, the bell rings. And tonight was kind of inconclusive as far as the main event, but that heavyweight fight showed some things. It didn't go on too long, and it wasn't too short. But something transitioned during that fight where the two men found out exactly where they were going to be. And I, like Drew Titan said, kind of yucked it up when Barriere was waved off because of Sugar Hill Stewart's participation in his camp. Yeah, justice can still be served, even when it's cold and old. Yeah. The welterweight bout between Tamir Smalls and Jose Roman Vasquez. Let's just call him Jose Roman. Interesting fight. Could have ended earlier, but as I spoke with one of the brothers behind the scenes, one of the reasons it didn't end earlier because neither guy looked to put in much body work. Body work is a part of the fight. head hunting, lack of combination punching, lack of proper punch placement and accuracy could lead to fights being extended, drawn out. Knockouts are typically set up by the best who have KOs. It's not about just hitting a guy hard on the chin or upside the head. It's about making the guy look there while you're attacking from here. You get a guy to exchange with you. I've often spoke of this. The best time to hit a fighter is when he's punching at you, because he's open. When a guy is standing in front of you like this, he's not open. But when one hand comes out like this, he's open. When the other hand comes out like that, he's open. You just have to know the proper counter to throw. And that's based on what? Timing. You have to know how to utilize timing. And that's not done instantaneously. You study your opponent over the period of minutes and rounds, You recognize what his tendencies are. Sometimes his chest may flex before he throws a fight or throws a punch in the fight. Sometimes his eyes might widen before he's about to do something. It's the little things that a real experienced fighter knows how to assess. Oh, this is habitual. Yeah. You see, because if you learn how to throw your shots without telegraphing, without indicating, then that's harder work on the opponent who has the ability to make those assessments. One of the great things about Bruce Lee, the martial arts film star, about his physical prowess is that people say that he didn't know how to fight for real. Shout out to Michael Jai White, which is ridiculous. One of the things that they noted, an editor for the film Enter the Dragon, that was Lee's last completed film. You know, we had Hollywood editors working on that film for him. So one of the things that they noted about him in his fight scenes, because sometimes they would have to undercrank some action so that the camera could pick up what's being done, because it's so fast. The movement was so fast. So that camera adjustment on Lee's movement allowed you to be able to see what he's doing, because he moves so fast. Sometimes you just see the guys reacting, but you didn't see what he did. You might have saw this, and that was it. And it's like, well, he didn't even throw a punch. I'm mentioning that because the film editors found out something about his movement, and they said that he could be in a position, and as they get ready to edit and they run the camera in slow motion, he never gave an indication of what his strike was going to be. Do you know how fast you have to be that there is no indication of your movement? See, that's like going, like when you're in this position here and you go to throw a jab, you know, there is some kind of movement that suggests I'm going to do this. But for him, what they were saying was he would be like this, and the next thing you know, it's out there like that already. But you never saw a lead that said he's doing this, he's doing that. That's unconscionable training, because he trained for that. Because he trained for actual combat. He was just talented to do that on film through choreography, Mr. Michael Jai White. He trained as if he was going to fight the best person in the world. Yeah. And that was 50 years before you came on the scene, brother. And all of his colleagues and contemporaries around him at the time were astonished at some of his athleticism and talent and ability, and his knowledge that was married to that physical. Because there are tons of people who got the physical and none of the psychological. And then there are people who have the psychological but none of the physical. But here you had one who had a balance and almost an equivalent to both combined into one. Boxing, which is a sport that he loved as well, is a lot like that. So when we talk about timing, we talk about, as Junior mentioned in capital letters, coaching. Salute to Trill Will, LDBC or nothing. What's going on with you, Trill Will? Good to see you out there, brother. This is how it goes. This is how it advances. It takes off to a level of unimaginable heights. Smalls didn't throw enough body shots. He could have got Roman out of there. Roman had a good pop on his punch, but became apprehensive after being knocked down and shaken up really bad in that third round. He got a little more steady on his feet after a couple of rounds when he found that Smalls didn't turn the heat up on him. But he still was leery of the power. Yeah, DLP, he's an op. No matter how, it hurts to say that, he is. He's an op. He's an op. I lost a lot of respect. And playing in all those Tyler Perry films don't help either. Because you know how he get down. What? Did Stormy say that? So overall, an interesting day of boxing. It's quite unfortunate that we didn't get more rounds out of the main event, but what can you expect? And we should have listened to Ennis at the press conference. He said there's levels to this, right? But they definitely brought a guy that wasn't at his level. right? So should we celebrate too much? Because he told us. I done told you. There are others. We'll see if he lines up to face them or not. Because there's a good chance that he won't. Yeah. When a circus comes to towns, they have all the bells and whistles. They have the colors vibrant. They have fireworks. It's a spectacle. And it's one of those things that draws your attention. Hey, there's something happening over there. Oh, it's a circus. Let's go, everyone. Let the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry, step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed to make you cry. Yeah! Blue Blood says, how do you see Ennis versus Bakram Murtazaliev, I'll say the last name for you, playing out if they ever fight? It'll be interesting because Murtazaliev has been inactive. Ever since he destroyed Tim Tszyu, it's like he can't get a fight. Boots may have fought more than he has. I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats on that. I know he fought Tim Tszyu earlier this year. But Bakram is a fighter that a guy like Ennis should have advantages to enjoy. What Bakram could do is test his resolve. But he may not get a chance to test his resolve because of the athleticism. That's the one thing that's always an Achilles for guys like that, those Eastern European fighters. Some of them are tough as nails, including some of them have gotten to be like the Mexican fighters, where their fortitude is extremely strong. Like you take a fighter like Alexander Usyk, people look at his size and everything, but his inner fortitude is a mother. The talent to go with it is just amazing. So I would favor Boots, but I do believe Murtazaliev can press some issues to show us something about his fortitude. But there's also something that's immeasurable, Blue Blood and chat. You have to find a fighter who is hungry, who wants it. sometimes the most talented guys are not the best. Sometimes it's the guys who are the best who are willing to do what's necessary. And they provide that separation, you know? And that's something to consider. That's not something that you could look at when you look at the stats sheet. That's that layer of the onion that you peel back and you're like, woo, it's kind of funky under there. Yeah. Makes a difference. I thought a fighter that was at welterweight that he could have fought that show us some of that was that guy Butayev, the one that Stanionis had that real rough and tumble fight with, because that guy is rugged, he's dirty, he can take a shot, he'll maul you, he'll bite you, he'll do. I want to see Boots in a fight like that with an opponent like that. Because that's not a guy that's going to let you look pretty in your prom dress, huh? He going to soil it, get some stains on it. And you know how the girls feel when they prom dress get dirty, right? Oh, yeah. You gotta love this sport, man. You gotta love it. Some things out there to teach you. Yeah, that's me. Fighters like Butayev are necessary. They are necessary. So a lot of people don't like fighters like him because they get in the way. That's how you know Stanionis was good, beating that guy. But the Stanionis that beat that guy did not face Boots, unfortunately. Yep. So it is what it is. But listen here, family, I've been on here long enough. I've talked thoroughly about the fights. I just didn't talk about the opening fight. But it is what it is. 4-fight card, I talked about 3 of the matchups. I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here, turn you loose into your rest of your weekend. I want to say salute, thank you for tuning in. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace to everybody out there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right? Okay.
if Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me. Especially since, you know, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, because he never got on steroids.
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How does five?
You saw De La Hoya.
How do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids?
Right.
You know, I mean, no, all those fucking dudes in that camp are dirty.
It don't matter to me. It's all gonna be the same.
I try it, but my body just no let me go. And you need to accept it. That's it. I hit Crawford, but no clean shots, like with all my power. He's a great fighter. He's a good fighter. He knows how to move and everything. I try it, but my body just no let me go. And you need to accept it. That's it. I hit Crawford, but no clean shots, like with all my power. He's a great fighter. He's a good fighter. He knows how to move and everything.
Oh, what a nice day. Look at Jessica. Jessica, what are you doing? You know you can't swim. Get away from the water, Jessica. Jessica, get away from the... Oh, my God. Somebody help Jessica, please. She can't swim. Go help the... Jessica, run! Jessica, no. Oh, my God. No, Jessica. No, the water is pulling her back in. Where's the lifeguard? Lifeguard, hurry up. You can't swim. Jessica, no! Lifeguard, please save her. Yes, two lifeguards. Save her, no. Please, Jessica. Oh, look, hey. Is that husband is coming? Oh, you one of them, Jess. Jessica. Hey, please, save her! Jessica! They're coming now, they're here! Jessica!